All right, welcome back, guys. So, on today's video, we're going to be looking over the TI-Nspire, one of the apps. This time, we're going to be looking over the List and Spreadsheet app. Now, I like to use that app the most whenever I'm using tables. So, if I'm given a table, I like to jump into the List and Spreadsheet app. So, here on the home page, okay, as soon as you turn on the calculator, we can go down to the List and Spreadsheet app on the very bottom. It's going to be right here. Okay, and it even tells you on the bottom, add list and spreadsheet to new document. And you could also always go to new document and then go to list and spreadsheet that way. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And here's what the list and spreadsheet app looks like when you first open it up. Now, the very first thing you always have to do is inside of the heading up here, A and B, you have to give it a title. Now, most of the time, we can just put X and Y when we're talking about algebra, but you could always label it. Maybe we're measuring it by time and by distance. Okay, and you could use those. But again, I'm just going to stick with the regular X and Y variables as though I had a basic table. Let's say that our X values here are 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's go down, because whenever I type them in, they just stayed in the same little box. So 1, and then I'm going to go enter, then 2, enter, 3, enter, and let's go with a 4. Okay, then I'm going to go on over and up, and let's say with the number 1, we had, let's go with 20, and then 25, so we're going by 5s, 30, and then 35. Okay, so we were given a table of data where we had when x was 1, y was 20, x was 2, y was 25, 3, 30, 4, and 35. Now, somehow it has to tell me what type of table this is representing, okay, unless I just know automatically. So I can go to menu, and hopefully it told me that it said it's linear. But what I like to remember is menu 4.1 read. So 4.1 for stat calculations, and then read. So now I look at the options here and I read through them and see which one do I want to use. Okay, the three main ones we're going to be using in algebra are the linear regression. You might remember this equation over here, or this expression, mx plus b for y equals mx plus b, which is our slope-intercept form. Now here's another linear regression. However, we're not used to using a plus bx. So when we use linear regression, we're going to do the mx plus b one. Also in algebra, we look at quadratics. So we'll be using quadratic regressions. And the third one that we like to use is exponential functions, or the exponential regression here. But in this case, we're going to be using linear regression. So menu 4.1 read, we found linear regression. I click on it, and it gives me this little pop-up. Now what it wants to know is what's my X list. So I come to this little drop-down button here. I click on that, and it lets me know what I've typed in earlier into my values and my headings. So earlier, remember I wrote time. Now for this one, I didn't leave it as time, I had it as X. So I want to select X because that's my X list. Y list, well, we're going to pick Y because that was my Y list. Then I go to OK. Now right here, before I click OK, I can look over, save the regression equation to F1. That's going to be when we go into the graph app. It's going to be saved as the first function in the graph. Okay, so I'm going to go to OK here. Now it's saved in. It popped up some new data for us. This wasn't here before. So let's look at it. Now this is telling us the title of it. We clicked on linear regression. So that lets me know which one I clicked on a second ago in the menu. Our regression equation is in the form mx plus b. Our m value is 5. Our b value is 15. And if you remember, m represents slope. So this tells me my slope is 5. And my b, my y-intercept, is 15. Okay, so I could write my equation here if I know to just plug these in. 5 for m, 15 for b. So I've got 5x plus 15. There's my expression. So y equals 5x plus 15 would be my equation. Now if I scroll down just a little bit, I can see the r right here. Not r squared, just the r. If it's just an r by itself, that relates to our correlation coefficient. So here, our correlation coefficient would be 1, or 100%. Okay, that means that this set of data is 100% accurate for if we were to make predictions. So if I make a prediction for what is going to be at 5, I can get it right looking at this equation that it gave us over here. Okay, the 5x plus 15. For sure, at 5, our y value would be 40. Now, what if we were to try to predict, well, what is y going to be when x equals 30? So when x equals 30, what does y equal? So here's an easy way to do that. we can go to the Graph app. So we go to the On button, back to our home page. We go over to the Graph app right over here. Now, remember, it told us that it saved it at F1. This is F2. So if I click up one time, there we go. Here's our equation. I push enter to graph it. Now it's on my graph. And then Control T, T for table. That'll open up my table over here. Now I said I wanted to find out when x is 30, what does y equal? That was my prediction I want to make. So I'm going to go down until x equals 30. So when x equals 30, y equals 165. And again, our correlation coefficient, our R, told us that it's 100% correct. So for sure, when x equals 30, y will equal 165 according to this data. Now let's go ahead and look at some random data. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home page. I'm going to clear the information I have. So new document. No, I don't want to save it. I'm going to go back to list and spreadsheet. Put in my x and y. Now this time I'm going to come up with some random numbers. Let's go with 4, 7, 5, and I don't know, let's go with 14. And then on the y values, let's go with 20, 35, 22, and I don't know, let's go with 16. Okay, so we have a y value for every x, and so this will work. Now also, something that I didn't say earlier, every time you go into menu, you need to make sure that you have a different box selected. You don't want to be inside the box for typing or it won't work. If I open the menu at this point and I try to plug something in, it grays it out. I cannot click on it. Okay, and so I need to go back. There we go. Make sure it's blue or shaded. Okay, and now I can go and do it. So earlier we said menu 4.1 read. So menu 4.1, and then read, I wanted linear regression. Here it is. My X list, I'm going to go with X. Y list, I'm going to go with Y. Saves it as f of 1 because I cleared it earlier. Otherwise, it would have saved it to f of 2 this time, the second function. I click OK, and here's my information. Now, this time I want to predict what is it going to be at 30 for this equation or for this set of data. If I were to keep going at when x equals 30, what would y equal? I want to make that prediction. When x equals 30, what can we predict y will be? But how accurate is this going to be for us? So I look at my correlation coefficient at R, and down here it has negative 0.346, which rounds to 0.35, and that as a percent would be negative 35%. Okay, so this would be a negative weak correlation because that's very weak. It's less than 80%. Okay, this is 35%. So it's not very accurate. It's a 35% chance that the number we give is going to be correct or even close to what it's going to be. But let's go ahead and find out what it would predict here, even though we know it's not going to be that accurate. So we go to the Graph app, so home screen, Graph app, and again, this is F2, so we want F1, so we go up, and then there it is, enter to graph it, Control T to pull up our table because we made a prediction, we want to make a prediction when x is 30. So I'm going to go down until x is 30, almost there, and there we go. So when x is 30, y will equal approximately 9.05, okay, because that would round up. So approximately 9.05 would be our total. So go ahead and try the List and Spreadsheet app, guys. Anytime you have a table, go ahead and use those linear regressions, or maybe you have a quadratic function you want to check out, or maybe even an exponential function. But no matter what kind you're using, go ahead and use our basics when we're inside the List and Spreadsheet app. Plug in your headings, don't forget X and Y, and then go ahead and fill in down in the bottom what your table had. Now, I didn't say it earlier, but do not ever fill in this part here where it says equals. You don't need to fill that in. Just fill in your table with your values, and then menu 4.1 read, and then what do you need? Linear, quadratic, or exponential. Okay, try it out. Good luck, guys.